It showed me that you didn't have to lose your sense of humor as an adult. You could continue to be silly with your friends.
Just what you've been waiting for. Movies, TV, music, and more. Follow, subscribe, stay up to date. Episodes drop every other Monday. It's the Matt, watch that. It's the Matt, watch that. It's the Matt, watch that podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to the Matt Watch That podcast, the place for reviews, rants, and randomness. I'm your host, Matt Seroski, filmmaker, film fan. Each episode, I'm going to watch a movie or TV pilot that I probably should have seen but never got around to. It could be a recent favorite, critic's choice, or cult classic. To join in on the conversation, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, at Matt Seroski. You can subscribe to my YouTube page where I'll post videos and clips from the show. If you have any opinions on what I've discussed or suggestions as to what I should see next, use the hashtag MattWatchThat on social. Before we start, March is Women's History Month, and we're going to celebrate their contribution to our society, featuring movies and television showcasing some very talented women. But first, it's time for everyone's favorite segment, Box Office Breakdown. I'm going to review the top 10 movies from June 1992 based on the domestic box office gross and give you my thoughts. Now, these can include films released during the month of June or carrying over from a previous month. It's really interesting to look back on the box office, not only to see the diversity in genre, but for also how long movies stayed in the theaters. But now we get to our top 10. Coming in at number 10 is Class Act, the kid-and-play starring vehicle where the valedictorian and juvenile delinquent have their records switched. I might have to do a Matt Forgot That podcast with Kid and Play, because for a very short period, they were definitely one of the hottest double acts. Next, we have Unlawful Entry at 9, that earned just under $11 million, one of the rare Kurt Russell movies that I haven't seen. At number 8, Encino Man, with $19 million. Brendan Fraser has really turned around his career. I mean, he started off with a couple of lemons. Encino Man, Airheads, even though I love that movie. And now, Academy Award winner. Hats off to you, buddy. At number 7, we have Alien 3, with $19.7 million. Now, I know this is a controversial opinion, but I prefer Alien 3 over Alien Resurrection. Even though it's a dark movie, it is visually stunning. The cinematography is amazing, and the way that Fincher framed the shots were really groundbreaking. Now, the special effects leave little to be desired. But if you haven't seen the assembly cut of the movie, it's about a half hour of additional footage, and I think it makes it such a stronger film. At number 6, with $26 million, is Far and Away. This was the second film that Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman starred together, after Days of Thunder, of course, and before Eyes Wide Shut, which is probably the best way to watch that movie. Next at number 5 is House Sitter, with $30 million. That starred Steve Martin, Goldie Hawn, and directed by Frank Oz. These are the types of movies that I miss. PG-rated comedy, nothing offensive, anyone could watch, fun, silly, decent movie. At number 4, Lethal Weapon 3, with $43 million. I like the addition of Rene Russo to the cast. She was a perfect foil for Mel Gibson's Riggs. She starred in a couple of good movies at that time. Major League, of course, In the Line of Fire, Outbreak, Get Shorty, Tin Cup, Ransom. She had a pretty good streak. At number 3, Patriot Games. It was a sequel to the film The Hunt for Red October, but this time featuring Harrison Ford in the role of Jack Ryan. At number 2, Sister Act, with $61 million. Whoopi Goldberg is great in this movie, and I think most people prefer the original, but I gotta tell you, there's something about Back in the Habit that I prefer. The main cast is back, but with the additions of Lauryn Hill, who I kinda had a thing for at the time, and I think there's something about the finale that's really uplifting. And last but not least, at number 1, no surprise, Batman Returns, grossing $103 million. I think Michelle Pfeiffer is amazing in this movie. There's actually an outtake where she performed beheading 4 mannequins with a whip, and she did it in one take, did it perfectly, and got a standing ovation from the crew. I'll post that on the Matt Watch That playback. But those are the top 10 grossing movies in June 1992. What are your thoughts? Which ones are your favorite? Hit me up on social using the hashtag MattWatchThat. On to the main attraction. Each review will end with a ranking out of 5 stars. 1 star is skip it, 2 stars watch at your own risk, 3 stars standard fare, 4 stars worth checking out, and 5 stars must see. Now, if I give a title 5 stars, it doesn't mean I'm comparing it to Casablanca, Jaws, or Seinfeld. I rank titles based on other movies or TV series in that genre and at that time period. On this episode of the podcast, I'll be reviewing Private Benjamin from 1980. It was directed by Howard Zieff, who helmed boxing comedy The Main Event, starring Barbra Streisand, rom-com Unfaithfully Yours, and the coming-of-age family dramas My Girl and its sequel. The screenplay was co-written by Nancy Meyers and Charles Shire, who scribed comedy thriller Jumping Jack Flash, rom-com Baby Boom, and the remakes of Father of the Bride and The Parent Trap, and Harvey Miller, who penned Cannonball Run 2 and episodes of The Odd Couple. It stars Goldie Hawn as Private Judy Benjamin. She studied tap and ballet as a youngster and moved out to California to dance as part of the chorus at the Melodyland Theater. In 1968, she was cast as a series regular on Rowan & Martin's Laugh-In. A year later, she appeared in The Cactus Flower and won an Academy Award for Best Actress in a Supporting Role. In the 70s, she was an in-demand actress, starring in Butterflies Are Free, The Sugarland Express, Shampoo, and Foul Play. She returned to television in a series of variety specials with Liza Minnelli, earning 4 Emmy Award nominations. The following decades continued to bring success with Best Friends, Overboard, Death Becomes Her, and The First Wives Club. Eileen Brennan portrays Captain Doreen Lewis. The classically trained actress was roommates with Rue McClanahan at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. The actress would start her career on Broadway before transitioning to the big screen with her debut in Divorce American Style. She would go on to have supporting roles in The Last Picture Show, The Sting, and Murder by Death. Her career was halted as she recovered from a near-fatal car accident, then addiction to painkillers, but she returned with a vengeance as Mrs. Peacock in Clue. She continued to consistently work throughout her career, including a memorable turn as Xandra, eccentric acting coach on Will and Grace. The movie also features Robert Webber, Sam Wanamaker, Hal Williams, Harry Dean Stanton, Albert Brooks, and Craig T. Nelson. P.J. Soles, who plays Private Wanda Winter, would go on to appear in another Army flick, Stripes. This is something to look out for. Goldie Hawn participated in 6 weeks of boot camp in preparation for the role, and off-duty service people were used as extras during basic training sequences. So let's jump into it. On the wedding day of Judy Benjamin to Yale Goodman, portrayed by Albert Brooks, she's fulfilled her dream of having a big house, nice clothes, and a professional man for a husband. But her world is shattered when he dies suddenly on their wedding night from boisterous sex. Judy calls into a radio show for consolation when Sergeant First Class Jim Ballard calls in with an offer to provide guidance for her. They agree to meet at the United States Army recruiting station, where he pitches the military branch as a vacation. All expenses will be paid for, and in the end, she could wind up stationed in Europe. Judy signs up and is brought to Fort Biloxi, where she soon realizes that basic training is more than just a walk in the park. Here's a quote without context. "Beware, there are minefields out there. Most of them are inert. However, some are ert." Private Benjamin is a classic fish-out-of-water tale. A woman who's been taken care of and pampered her whole existence is given the shock of a lifetime when she has to run, climb, and crawl her way through basic training. Goldie Hawn is perfect for the role. Her comedic timing is on point, and her arc from spoiled woman to motivated recruit hits all the right notes. The interplay between her and Brennan is a real highlight of the film. The script follows the standard format for the time. By around 15 minutes, the main character is established, Her motivations, or in this case lack of motivations, are clear, and the inciting incident, which propels the rest of the film forward, is a no-turning-back moment for Judy. There were a couple of fun montages in the film, with Benjamin going through basic training, at first barely able to complete simple tasks, and using shortcuts where she can, to finally embracing the army lifestyle and progressively getting more adept. Now for a little trivial trivia. Goldie Hawn and Eileen Brennan worked together in Season 1 of Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. They would remain close friends despite playing bitter enemies in this film. Private Benjamin was executive produced by Goldie Hawn, whose business partner, Nancy Myers, conceived of the part for the actor. It was filmed at Fort MacArthur in San Pedro, Angels Gate Park, and Riviera Country Club, all in Los Angeles, as well as the Warner Brothers studios in Burbank and in Paris, France. The cinematography was captured by David M. Walsh, whose filmography includes biography Evel Knievel, sci-fi comedy Sleeper, mystery parody Murder by Death, and won a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Achievement in Cinematography for Entertainment Programming for a special for Queen of the Stardust Ballroom. It was edited by Sheldon Kahn, who worked on comedy fantasy Ghostbusters, music biography La Bamba, Schwarzenegger comedies Twins, Kindergarten Cop, and Junior. He was nominated for Best Film Editing of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Out of Africa. The score was composed by Bill Conti, who wrote the music for boxing drama Rocky, Bond flick For Your Eyes Only, martial arts coming-of-age movie The Karate Kid, and won an Academy Award for Best Music Original Score for The Right Stuff. The runtime is 1 hour 49 minutes. It had a budget of $9 million and grossed just under $70 million at the box office. It was nominated for 3 Oscars at the 1981 Academy Awards for writing, screenplay written directly for the screen, actress in a supporting role, and actress in a leading role. A television series premiered in 1981, with Eileen Brennan and Hal Williams reprising their characters. Lorna Patterson took over the titular role. It aired for 3 seasons, 39 episodes until 1983. Eileen Brennan would win a Golden Globe and a Primetime Emmy as Captain Doreen Lewis. On the Ski Index, I give it 4 out of 5 stars. It's a breezy film with strong performances, a superstar-making vehicle for Goldie Hawn, who carried the film on her back like an injured POW. If you've seen Private Benjamin and have opinions on the movie, let me know what you think using the hashtag #MattWatchThat. Moving right along, each episode, I'm going to post clips that I think people should watch. It could be movie trailers, music videos, interviews, or something completely random. Search for my YouTube page and there will be a playlist called Matt Watch That Playback. The Carol Burnett Show was a variety program that featured memorable sketches and musical performances by a talented troupe of actors. It starred Carol Burnett and Vicki Lawrence for the entirety of the series run, alongside Harvey Korman, Lyle Waggoner, Tim Conway, and Dick Van Dyke. Carol Burnett had become the go-to comedic actress after years on the nightclub circuit and appearances on Broadway in New York. She was a regular on The Gary Moore Show, winning an Emmy Award for Outstanding Performance in a Variety or Musical Program or Series. She starred in a special with friend Julie Andrews in Julie and Carol at Carnegie Hall. She was offered a half-hour sitcom by CBS, but opted to do a 1-hour music variety show, which became The Carol Burnett Show. At the beginning of each episode, she would ask for the studio lights to be bumped up and take questions from the audience. It was unrehearsed, and her answers were unscripted, which led to many unforgettable moments. But I think the series is best remembered for the cast breaking during sketches. While some might look down upon this as unprofessional, the majority of people found it utterly charming. Watching repeats in syndication as a youngster, it showed me that you didn't have to lose your sense of humor as an adult. You could continue to be silly with your friends, even as a quote-unquote grown-up. I thought the show was great, and the only goal was funny. They didn't need to be political. They didn't need to bring people down. They wanted to bring people together with laughter. And there was a lot of it. Whether it was Carol playing Starlet O'Hara and draping herself in curtains, or Tim Conway as a dentist who injects himself with Novocaine. Of course, there were the family sketches, which was spun off into its own sitcom, Mama's Family, and aired for 6 seasons, 130 episodes from 1983 to 1990. So I've selected a couple of clips from the show, Best of Audience Q&A, and the actors breaking character. They're all available in the Matt Watch That Playback playlist on YouTube. Check it out. Now it's time for the recommendation. Yes, that's the word recommendation with Matt in the middle. I'm going to end each podcast with my own recommendation of a movie or TV series. Today I'm talking about The Big C. It tells the story of Kathy Jameson, a Minneapolis schoolteacher and suburban housewife, who is diagnosed with terminal cancer, which she initially hides from her family and friends. The dire situation forces her to reevaluate her life and start living to its fullest. It was created by Darlene Hunt, who was a writer on Will and Grace, 90210, and The Goldbergs. She would go on to develop Call Me Kat. It stars Laura Linney, best known from Love Actually, The Truman Show, Kinsey, and Mystic River. I think I've taken her for granted all these years. It wasn't until this show where I started to appreciate how talented she is. But then I realized I've enjoyed every performance I'd ever seen her in. She can shine in any genre. She's such an underrated actress. Her husband is played by Oliver Platt. I had seen him in another Showtime series, Huff, which was short-lived but very memorable. I spoke about it in season 1 of the podcast. I don't think you can find it anywhere anymore, but luckily I scored an Emmy screener, so I've been able to rewatch it whenever I want. Physical media, people. I also saw him in Guys and Dolls as Nathan Detroit, alongside Lauren Graham and Titus Burgess. Gabriel Basso plays their son, Adam, who would go on to appear in the summer blockbuster Super 8. He took a break from acting before being cast in Netflix' The Night Agent. It also features Emmy nominee John Benjamin Hickey, character actor Phyllis Somerville, Veep alum Reed Scott, Emmy winner Cynthia Nixon, and Oscar nominee Gabourey Sidibe. There is a Love Actually reunion with Liam Neeson, who appears in one episode as an alternative medicine doctor. Idris Elba also has a role in a couple of episodes in the first season. I really like this series a lot. Laura Linney did such a great job with the character. She had to find a balance between acting like everything's fine, but also appearing very chaotic to her family and friends, because she's acting in ways that's very out of character for Kathy Jameson. You would think that a show like this would be very dark, but it's really not. Yes, there are moments of drama. She has terminal cancer. We know where this story's going. But I think what's surprising most is how funny it is. There's a bunch of chaos that makes me laugh, including a scene where Kathy takes a paintball gun and starts shooting her son. Very funny in context, I swear. But what I also like about the show is that it's not preachy. It's not saying, embrace life, you only have one life to live, yada yada yada. It does it in its own very subtle but unique way. I've been rewatching it recently and just going through the journey again, and it's just as enjoyable the second time around. The Big C was on for 4 seasons, 40 episodes from 2010 to 2013. That's all for this edition of Matt Watch That. Thanks for listening to me babble. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Matt Seroski. You can subscribe to my YouTube page where I'll post videos and clips from the show. If you have any opinions on what I've discussed or suggestions as to what movie or TV pilot I should see, use the hashtag MattWatchThat on social. Head over to mattseroski.com for all the latest news and updates, and come back next time for the reviews, rants, and randomness. And last but not least, at number 1, no surprise, Batman Returns, grossing $103. Yeah, $103. With Eileen Brennan and Hal Williams reprising their careers.